One man, one machine gun, 7 hours of hell. On the night of October 24, 1942, a single Marine sergeant stood between the Imperial Japanese Army and victory in the Pacific, and what happened in those darkness-drenched hours would change the course of World War II forever. The jungle breathes. It exhales humidity so thick you can taste it, inhales the metallic tang of fear and cordite, and holds its breath when the wind dies. John Basilone feels it against his skin, the oppressive weight of the Guadalcanal night pressing down on him like a living thing. He's 26 years old, a former Army boxer turned Marine machine gunner, and right now he's crouched in the mud beside a Browning M1917 heavy machine gun that weighs more than most men can deadlift. His hands rest on the weapon's cold metal, fingers tracing the familiar contours in the darkness. Somewhere out there, maybe 40 yards away through the tangled vegetation and elephant grass, the Japanese are coming. He can hear them now. Not clearly, not yet, but in the spaces between his own breathing, between the distant rumble of artillery and the ever-present chorus of insects, there's something else. Movement, the whisper of fabric against leaves, the muffled clink of equipment. The 2nd Division of the Imperial Japanese Army, elite troops who've cut through China and the Philippines like a katana through silk, are moving through the jungle toward Henderson Field. And Henderson Field, that muddy, bomb-cratered airstrip barely 1,000 yards behind Basilone's position, is the only thing that matters on this godforsaken island. Lose the airfield, lose Guadalcanal. Lose Guadalcanal, lose the Solomon Islands. Lose the Solomons, and the road to Australia lies wide open. Basilone shifts his weight, feeling the machete strapped to his thigh press against his leg. 18 inches of tempered steel, issued for cutting through jungle vegetation. Tonight, he suspects it might serve a different purpose. The moon hangs somewhere beyond the canopy, offering just enough light to turn the jungle into a nightmare landscape of shadows within shadows. Everything looks like a man. Nothing looks like a man. Basilone's eyes ache from staring into the darkness, searching for movement, for the telltale signs that will give him perhaps 2 seconds of warning before all hell breaks loose. To his left and right, his men, 15, maybe 20 Marines spread across 2 sections of heavy machine guns, wait in their own private agonies of anticipation. Some of them are teenagers who'd never left their hometowns 6 months ago. Now they're dug into volcanic soil on an island most Americans couldn't find on a map, waiting for an enemy who fights with a fanaticism that defies every Western understanding of warfare. The Browning M1917 sits before Basilone like an altar. It's a relic, really, a design from the previous war, the war to end all wars, which clearly didn't. While other units have been issued the newer, lighter M1919, Basilone specifically requested the older model. His superiors thought he was crazy. The M1917 is a monster, 53 pounds for the gun alone, another 53 for the tripod, plus the water jacket that gives it that distinctive pregnant barrel look. The slow to move, a pain to position, and absolutely brutal to carry. But it has one advantage that matters more than anything else in defensive warfare. It can fire continuously, almost indefinitely, without overheating. The water jacket circulating around the barrel means Basilone can pour rounds downrange at 450 per minute, hour after hour, as long as he has ammunition and the gun doesn't jam. And the gun always jams. It's the nature of the beast, the price of automatic fire. Dirt gets in the action. Brass expands in the humid heat. Feed mechanisms catch and stutter. Every machine gunner knows the intimate terror of hearing that distinctive silence, the sudden absence of thunder, in the middle of a firefight. And every machine gunner knows what happens in those seconds of silence. The enemy, who've been pinned down by your fire, suddenly realize they can move. Suddenly remember they have grenades. Suddenly charge. Basilone's hands move across the gun one more time, performing the ritual check he's done 1,000 times. Ammunition belt feeding smoothly. Water level adequate. Bolt action clear. He's loaded with regular ball ammunition tonight. .30-06 rounds that will punch through a man at 500 yards. Mixed with tracers every 5th round so he can see where his fire is going in the dark. The tracers will also tell the enemy exactly where he is, but that's war. Everything's a trade-off. Everything's a gamble with your life as the stake. A sound cuts through the jungle. Closer now. Much closer. Basilone's entire body tenses, every nerve suddenly singing. 40 yards, maybe less. His thumb moves to the butterfly trigger, the distinctive twin-paddle design of the M1917. The moment stretches like hot glass, endless and fragile. Then the darkness erupts. They come in a wave, screaming. The Japanese battle cry, Banzai, rips through the night, a sound designed to paralyze, to terrify, to overwhelm the senses and short-circuit rational thought. It works on some men. It galvanizes others. Basilone's thumbs compress the butterfly trigger and the Browning roars to life. A mechanical dragon spewing fire and death. The muzzle flash illuminates the jungle in stroboscopic bursts. Flash, dark, flash, dark. Each moment of light revealing nightmare images. Men running, men falling, men still coming, climbing over the bodies of their comrades. Faces twisted in fury or fear or that strange combination of both that defines men in combat. The tracers arc out like deadly fireflies, red lines scratching across the darkness. Basilone doesn't aim at individual soldiers. There's no time, no point. He aims at the mass, at the surge, sweeping the gun in controlled bursts across the approach. The noise is incredible, overwhelming, a physical force that batters the eardrums. Spent brass casings fountain from the ejection port, tinkling against the ground like deadly rain. The smell of burnt powder fills his nostrils, coating his throat. 30 seconds. A minute. The gun is hot now, heat radiating from the water jacket. The Japanese wave breaks against the curtain of fire like surf against rocks. Men going down in clumps, screaming, dying, but still coming. Always still coming. Basilone can see them more clearly now as his night vision adapts, as the muzzle flashes create a terrible rhythm of light and dark. They're close enough that he can see the Type 38 rifles in their hands, the bayonets already fixed for close combat. Close enough that he can distinguish officers from enlisted men, the officers waving swords, actual swords, driving their troops forward. And then, with perfect terrible timing, the gun stops. The silence is immediate and absolute, a pressure in his ears where sound used to be. For half a heartbeat, Basilone's mind refuses to process it. Then training takes over. Jam! His hands fly across the weapon, following the immediate action drill. Tap the feed tray. Rack the bolt. Nothing. The action is locked solid. A spent casing wedged at an angle in the chamber, expanded and stuck. The Japanese are still coming. Basilone doesn't think. There's no time to think. His hand goes to his thigh, finds the machete handle, rips it free. The blade gleams dully in the ambient light. He jams the tip under the stuck casing, using the machete like a pry bar, levering with desperate strength. The brass gives, pops free, tumbles away into the darkness. His other hand is already working, pulling the bolt back, chambering a fresh round, even as his mind tracks the approaching enemy. 20 yards. 15. The gun speaks again and men die. But the respite is temporary. They know where he is now. They all know where he is. Every Japanese soldier in the jungle has marked the position of that machine gun, has made it their personal mission to silence it. Grenades begin to arc through the air, dark spherical shapes tumbling end over end. Basilone hunches behind the gun shield. Thin steel that might stop shrapnel but will do nothing against a direct hit, and keeps firing. The grenades explode with sharp cracks, showering dirt and vegetation. Shrapnel winds through the air. A piece catches a Marine to Basilone's right, and the man goes down screaming. The next hour blurs into a nightmare of fire and blood and desperate mechanical action. The Browning jams again. Basilone clears it with the machete, the technique nobody taught him, the improvisation born of necessity and will to survive. He's dimly aware of voices shouting to his left, his second gun position, 50 yards down the line. They're in trouble. He can hear it in the pitch of the yelling, in the ragged bursts of fire that suggest desperation rather than controlled defense. A mortar round shrieks in, that distinctive rising whistle that gives you just enough time to know you're about to die. It impacts 20 feet away, close enough that the concussion lifts Basilone bodily and slams him back against the ground. His ears ring, a high-pitched whine that drowns out everything. Dirt rains down. Something wet runs down his face, blood or sweat or both. He doesn't check. He rolls back to the gun, finds it still intact by some miracle, and resumes firing. The second gun position has gone silent. Basilone processes this information with the cold clarity that comes in combat, when the thinking brain shuts down and something older, more reptilian, takes over. His gun. His men. His responsibility. He's a sergeant. Not because he wanted the rank, but because someone decided he could do the job. And that means those Marines down the line are his to protect, his to save, his to avenge if it comes to that. He makes a decision that will later seem insane, but in the moment feels like the only option. He grabs the M1917. All 53 pounds of it. Plus the tripod.
Plus ammunition.
The total weight is well over 100 pounds. He lifts it like it's made of paper and moves. Moving in combat is a unique form of madness. Every instinct screams to stay down, stay still, make yourself small. Moving makes you a target. Moving exposes you to every bullet, every piece of shrapnel, every soldier with a sight picture. Basilone moves anyway, bent double under the weight, crashing through vegetation that seems designed to tangle and trap. Bullets snap past with that distinctive crack buzz sound that means they're close. Something tugs at his sleeve. Something else burns a line across his shoulder. Just a graze, but enough to let him know exactly how fine the margin is between living and dying. He reaches the second position and finds carnage. 3 Marines down. 2 dead, 1 dying. The machine gun is intact but jammed solid. A catastrophic failure of the feed mechanism that would take minutes to fix properly. Minutes nobody has. The wounded Marine, a kid, maybe 19, looks up at Basilone with eyes that already know the answer. Basilone kneels, pressing his hand against the sucking chest wound, but they both understand. I got it from here, Basilone tells him. You did good. The kid nods and is gone. Just like that, his last breath mixing with the cordite smoke. Basilone positions his M1917 behind a fallen mahogany tree, a massive log that offers actual cover rather than just concealment. He mounts the tripod, chambers around, and opens fire into the jungle. The Japanese are everywhere now, having pushed through the gap created when this gun fell silent. He can see them moving between the trees, shadowy figures that appear and disappear. He fires in controlled bursts, sweeping methodically, the old familiar rhythm. The gun is his instrument, and he plays it with deadly virtuosity. A grenade lands 3 feet away. Basilone sees it, registers it, and makes the split-second calculation. No time to throw it back. No time to run. He presses himself against the log and hopes. The explosion lifts him, slams him, fills his world with light and noise. Shrapnel peppers the log, some pieces punching through to shred the vegetation behind him. A piece catches his leg, a hot lance of pain that he acknowledges and dismisses. Still mobile, still functional, still fighting. The gun jams. Of course it does. It's been firing almost continuously for how long? An hour? 2? Time has lost meaning, compressed into an endless present of shoot and clear and shoot again. This jam is different. Worse, Basilone can tell immediately from the way the action locks up. Something's broken in the feed mechanism. He pulls out the machete again, his hands now slick with blood and oil and God knows what else, and digs into the action. Spent casing. Broken extractor spring. The spring that pulls the spent cartridge from the chamber has snapped, and without it, every round will stick. This is the kind of failure that ends a gun's mission. You need an armorer tools time, none of which Basilone has. What he has is barbed wire strung earlier as part of the defensive perimeter. He rips a length free, ignoring the barbs that shred his already battered hands, and threads it through the extractor mechanism. He improvises a makeshift spring using wire tension, a field expedient that shouldn't work but does. Barely. The gun will still jam, the broken spring guarantees it, but now he can clear the jams manually, using the machete to pry out each stuck casing before chambering the next round.
Jam.
Clear. Fire.
Jam.
Clear. Fire. It becomes a rhythm, a brutal mechanical dance. His hands move with practiced efficiency even as exhaustion begins to weigh on him. The M1917 is hot now, genuinely hot, the water in the jacket approaching boiling temperature. Steam rises from the barrel shroud. But the gun still shoots, and that's all that matters. Somewhere in the third or fourth hour, Basilone has long since lost count. Ammunition becomes the crisis. He's burning through belts at an unsustainable rate, 450 rounds per minute adding up with merciless mathematics. The ammo crates beside the gun are empty. The crates at the other positions are empty. The supply line is cut, severed by Japanese infiltrators who've penetrated the perimeter. And without ammunition, the M1917 is just 53 pounds of useless steel. Basilone makes another decision that defies reason. He's going to get more ammunition, not request it, not wait for it, get it himself. The supply dump is 150 yards away, through jungle that's now crawling with Japanese soldiers. He loads himself like a pack mule. 2 ammo cans, 85 to 90 pounds of linked .30-06, plus his rifle, his pistol, his machete. Nearly his own body weight in gear. Then he moves. This is where Basilone transcends, where he becomes something more than a man. The run through enemy-controlled ground is a blur of pure survival instinct. He moves like a ghost, like a predator, choosing his path with an animal's cunning. Twice he nearly walks into Japanese positions. Once he does, and there's a moment of mutual surprise before Basilone's pistol barks and the enemy soldier drops. He doesn't stop, doesn't slow. The ammunition cans bang against his legs with each step, metal on bone, adding their own pain to the symphony. He makes it back to his position in under 50 seconds. Impossibly, miraculously, he makes it. He drops the ammo cans, chambers a fresh belt, and resumes firing. The Marines around him, those still alive, watch with something approaching religious awe. Later, they'll tell stories. They'll say Basilone was blessed, protected, invincible. They'll be wrong. He's just a man who refused to quit. But what a refusal it is. The night crawls toward dawn with geological slowness. Each hour is a century. Each minute is an eternity. The Japanese keep coming in waves, probing, attacking, dying, falling back, and attacking again. It's their doctrine, refined in China and Malaya, continuous pressure, accepting casualties, grinding down the defenders through sheer weight of numbers. It works against most enemies. It doesn't work against Basilone. His third gun position goes down. He drags the M1917 forward again, repositions, establishes a new field of fire. A Japanese officer, you can tell by the sword, charges at him screaming. Basilone cuts him down at 10 feet. More grenades, more mortars, more of that terrible endless pressure. His hands are bleeding now, torn by the machete work, by the hot metal, by the barbed wire. Blood makes the grip slippery. He wipes his palms on his uniform and keeps shooting. Around 0300 hours, the attacks intensify. This is the main assault, the big push. The Japanese throw everything they have at the southern approach to Henderson Field, where Basilone and his guns are the only thing standing between them and victory. The volume of fire is incredible. Bullets snap through the air in such density that the sound becomes a continuous roar. Mortar rounds walk across the perimeter, systematically destroying positions. A round lands close enough to partially bury Basilone in dirt. He digs himself out with his bare hands and returns to the gun.
Jam.
Clear. Fire.
Jam.
Clear. Fire. The rhythm is automatic now, burned into muscle memory at a level deeper than conscious thought. His body moves while his mind retreats to some distant place where there's no pain, no fear, just the job, just the mission. Keep the gun running. Keep the enemy back. Hold the line. Men die around him. Good men. Marines he's trained with, drunk with, argued with about baseball and women and whether New Jersey or California has better beaches. They die badly, the way men die in war, screaming for their mothers or in shocked silence. Basilone can't help them, can't even acknowledge them. All he can do is keep firing, keep the Japanese from overrunning the position and turning those deaths into meaningless sacrifice. A bullet creases his helmet, the impact ringing his skull like a bell. Stars explode across his vision. He blinks them away and keeps shooting. Another bullet catches his water canteen, and precious liquid gushes out. He's already desperately thirsty, his mouth coated with powder residue and blood. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters except the gun. Sometime after 0400, he becomes aware that the Japanese attacks are weakening. Not stopping, they'll never stop, their code won't allow it, but losing coherence. The waves come with longer intervals. The pressure eases. Men are still dying, but the existential crisis has passed. The defensive line has held. Basilone has held it. The sky begins to lighten around 0530, that slow gradual transformation from black to gray that heralds dawn in the tropics. With light comes salvation. American aircraft will be able to take off from Henderson Field, will be able to strafe and bomb the Japanese positions, will turn the jungle into a killing ground. The Japanese know this too. As the sky brightens, their attacks become desperate, last-ditch efforts to achieve what the night couldn't deliver. Basilone fires until 0615, when the first American fighter roars down the Henderson Field runway and claws into the sky. He fires until the Japanese retreat melts back into the jungle, carrying their wounded, leaving their dead. He fires until there's nothing left to shoot at, until the immediate threat has passed. Only then does he take his hands off the gun. The silence is profound, not complete. There are still shots in the distance, still the moans of wounded men, still the crackling of small fires, but profound nonetheless. Basilone sits back, his body suddenly remembering how to feel pain. Everything hurts. Every muscle, every joint, every inch of torn and battered skin. His hands are wrecked, barely recognizable as hands. His uniform is shredded, soaked with sweat and blood and gun oil. He's thirsty beyond description, hungry beyond caring, exhausted beyond sleep. He looks at the M1917. The venerable, obsolete, magnificent Browning has fired somewhere between 12,000 and 15,000 rounds through the night. The barrel is nearly glowing. The water jacket is so hot it's dangerous to touch. But it still works. It's still ready. They built them to last back in the Great War. In front of his position, the ground is carpeted with brass casings. Beyond that, the jungle holds the enemy dead. 38 confirmed kills in his sector alone, though the actual number is certainly higher. 38 men who will never go home, who died trying to take an airfield on an island they'd never heard of before the war. Basilone feels nothing for them. Not hatred, not satisfaction, not even relief. Just emptiness. Combat does that, hollows you out until there's nothing left but the task. Marines begin to emerge from their positions, those who survived. They look like zombies, walking dead men animated by nothing but habit. They look at Basilone and the carnage around his position, and their faces register shock, awe, disbelief. They understand what they're seeing. They understand what one man did. Later, officers will come. There will be reports, recommendations, official recognition. Eventually, there will be a Medal of Honor ceremony, the citation reading like fiction but backed by the testimony of every man who lived through this night. But that's later. That's the bureaucracy of heroism. Right now, in this moment as dawn breaks over Guadalcanal, John Basilone is just a Marine who did his job. A sergeant who kept his men alive. A machine gunner who understood that the weapon was just a tool, that the real weapon was the will to continue, to endure, to refuse defeat no matter the cost. Henderson Field is secure. The Japanese assault has failed. And in the grand strategic sweep of World War II, this night will be recognized as a turning point. The Battle of Guadalcanal will rage for weeks more, but the Japanese will never come this close to victory again. They've thrown their best troops against the American perimeter and been broken. Their momentum, the seemingly unstoppable advance that carried them across the Pacific, has hit a wall. A wall named Basilone. He doesn't know any of this yet. Can't see the big picture, the way this night will ripple forward through history. All he knows is that he's alive, his men are alive, and the line held. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's everything. The sun rises over Guadalcanal, turning the blood-soaked jungle to gold. If this story moved you, if you want to see more untold stories from history brought to life with this level of detail and respect, hit that like button and subscribe. These stories deserve to be remembered. And here's a question for you. What do you think made the real difference that night, the weapon, the training, or the man behind the gun? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one,